G'day and welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute. Today I'm joined by the AstroPub, Mr. Paul, and Dasein was here. How you guys doing? Now,
hello.
Paul dresses up for the occasion all the time. Sorry, I had to jump in. Sorry, I didn't even wait for you to respond. But Paul dresses up all the time, so Dasein thought he'd dress up. And not to be outdone, I've got my tie on, so we're all good today.
We're talking financials too, so it works.
So it works. I scrub up nice, don't I? Look, just put on a tie, real classy.
It's called Inforunners Stock Market Edition.
Yeah.
Buy, sell, buy. Hit the bongs.
Sell.
So, 17 million was dropped again by the investors that previously dropped 45 million. And we thought we'd talk about that, and we might go over some other stuff related to the current global crisis, and we might even chuck in some tidbits, kind of like a mini data dump, but not really. But we're gonna do a little bit today, so we'll just see where it takes us. Paul, with the 17 million going in, what was your initial reaction to hearing this news?
Well, my initial reaction was confusion. It's like, why would anyone want to dump $17 million into Star Citizen at this point? There's not been any major demos that have been done. There's nothing in that has happened recently in Star Citizen that would incur it. However, since then, I started thinking about it and had a realization. But I'll let Dasein have his initial reaction as well.
Go for it.
Before we get into that.
Well, it's kind of interesting, especially with all the stuff in the world markets going on. But my first gut reaction was, oh no, they need money because of all of this. And is Chris Roberts starting to give up too much? And honestly, the more I talk with these guys, there's actually a rather interesting theory about why this is a good thing. Not, oh my, Chris Roberts is losing more shares in the company. Is he going to start risking a takeover?
Well, and I guess we'll dive into that a little bit now. But my initial reaction was exactly the same as these two gentlemen's. We kind of go, what? And then as you start to think about it, and as we started talking to each other, it very quickly became apparent it's not what we thought. And I think that kind of starts, probably the place to start would actually be with COVID, yeah? I think that is a good place to start, because in the current climate, you would not be expecting investors to be doubling down on their investment. And you said it really well before the show, Paul, so I'll let you talk about that part there. The part where you were talking about how they would, rather than invest their money other places, and maybe we need to go through to get to that end part though. But you know what I was trying to say. So go for it.
Let me kind of give some context. For this, the investors are the Calder family, Snoot Entertainment, and ITG Investment. Now, the Calder family is them personally. Snoot Entertainment is owned by the Calder family. And I haven't looked up ITG Investment, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was also owned by the Calder family, if not another friend of Chris Roberts. The thing about Snoot Entertainment is that Snoot Entertainment specifically is financial backers for films, small films, independent films, some, like you'd see it in a couple of theaters in like LA kind of thing.
I want to ask a quick question. Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
That's where he met them, didn't he, when he was doing films?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the Hollywood
Just
film.
checking.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and the thing about it is that they also do a lot of advertising. They're in that kind of realm a little bit more. So one of the realities of COVID is that every TV show, film has been shut down. They will probably be shut down for at least 3 months, if not 6 months to a year. All production is going to stop on a lot of that.
Just to relate onto that, again, with our current situation, Netflix is putting on double the shows they normally put on this month than they have ever before, but a lot of them are reruns, and I actually think with all the production shutting down, that's all we're going to get. Like 3 months from now, there will be no new shows. Just no.
Who knows what movies are moving on to streaming, direct to streaming.
Yeah. Yep. How many of them that are finished and they're in post-production now? So that, but like anything that was going to start filming in the next 6 months, not going to happen. Now, as a result, someone like Snoot Films, that's a large amount of money that's going to be gone. They're not going to be looking for new films to be investing in for money to come back. And that may be the same thing with ITG Investments, and almost certainly the Calder family as well have the same situation.
So can I just say, so is this a logical question? Like, so what are they going to invest their money in that might make them money during this time? That's kind of where we've gone, yeah.
Yeah, investments they've already had. And so Star Citizen, for instance, for CIG specifically, they had invested to own part of Star Citizen, part of Cloud Imperium Games, and they had a one-time buyout at a reduced rate so they could get more money. They could invest more money into it at a lower rate, so they don't have to. So if like the value just tripled suddenly overnight, they could still pay for it at that bottom price they originally got into it, as a kind of a thank you for investing early on. So, you know, we're not going to fuck you over if we become a, you know, EA overnight. And they decided that this was a time to pop that in there, because in the next year or so, they're not going to see a lot of investment, not a lot of stuff coming in. Maybe some stuff that they originally had already produced start coming in, but they're not going to see a lot. So it's a double thing that's going on. First of all, they need to they're investing in it because they can see this as a potential profit margin, but it also says something a little bit about Squadron 42. And I'll let you guys debate about that as well before we get into it.
And one big thing to mention here, and this is for all those people who are watching and thinking, hold it, but of course they're trying to get more shares, as in just more shares while the market's lower. The key thing to get from the release is that it is, as Paul said, a pre-negotiated lower price. And that's something that I just want to put out here before we start our discussion, before people are like, well, that's why people invest in these low times. You pull out money but while it's high, invest more in when you know it'll go back up. So it's not that type of situation.
That's not what they're thinking. They're thinking, why does Dyson look like my dentist? Anyway.
Open wide, audience.
Oh, no. Anyway, yeah.
My first thought was he was going to point at a board and start explaining a quantum physics calculation.
Yes.
And he'd be like, I don't know. I haven't studied for the test.
Actually, he does look like that, doesn't he? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Put
yourself a little
wobbly,
graduation.
Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey, okay?
Okay, that works too.
I just want that to spin now. Just whee! Anyway, sorry, I've totally got off tangent, but I had to say it because I was just like, it was in my head. Right. So yeah, getting back to investors. The other interesting thing when we talked about before the show is how their unfeathered access. Would you like to talk a little bit about? Do you want to talk about it, or do you want to let Dyson talk about it? He's kind of repeating what you said though, because you kind of said this as well. So do you want to talk about that? And I have no problem with you talking. So go.
We can both talk about it. I mean, go ahead, Dyson. Yeah.
Do you remember? All right, I'll talk about that. So what Paul?
I can go for it.
All right. Well, what Paul was talking about, He was talking about how in investors being on the board, they literally have the power to almost walk into CIG and say, "Show me the entire game." And so because they're seeing good things and they see where this game's going, they've got better access than us. They're almost doubling down on their bet that the Star Citizen is going to succeed. And so I think what we're kind of trying to say with this episode is, initially when we all heard this, is it was panic. They're like, "Wow, why are they getting more money? CJ out of more money." But when you take into our current extraordinary circumstances, the uncertain times for CIG, they themselves not having anything to invest into the movie industry, I think I walk away with all positives, and I think you two gentlemen are the same, yeah.
Walk away with positives, but with a grain of salt here. And I'm going to say the little bit of salt is this going to cause problems later down the road? Because we've all heard about some of these activist investors who just get a small portion of a company and then are able to cause a lot of problems. Is that going to be a situation that happens later down the road? Because we all know Chris Roberts makes great games, but sometimes he can get a little too... how would you put it? Scope creep, perfectionistic.
I think there's a good and a bad there. So my initial reaction is they'll probably rein Chris in a bit. But the other part is like what Paul said. They are investors, so this is not their first radio. They kind of know a bit about the entertainment industry, and if they hurt it, it ends up hurting their own investment. Paul, am I correct in that assumption? Or
I have a feeling that, but I also agree with Dyson, and maybe to a good degree, it's a good degree to have someone who's looking over Chris's shoulder going, "That's stupid. Why are you worrying about this? Just get the game out."
I have to say one of those things which can be a benefit and a downside is actually like the later this week when they were I think it was this week that they're talking about VR. And to me, I'm like, scope creep. Wait until the game's out before you do that. But then you also have something like Half-Life Alex out there, which looks absolutely amazing. So it's a double-edged sword, and this type of scope creep could be bad. But then again, you got investors like that who might look at it and say, that's actually a good idea. Let's capitalize on this type of success later on.
Look, I'll probably get roasted for this in the comments, but I fully... VR for me has one now proven game. All the other games that I really saw and played myself were rather small, and every person I know that actually owns a VR headset says it is way too expensive for what it is because there's not enough games to play. And yes, you've got Half-Life Alyx, and I know a lot of people that went out and brought a headset just to play Half-Life Alyx. It has a really high level of entry. It's in a similar way that you can kind of relate to it, to put it specifically in Star Citizen, but way more extreme, is joystick users. A lot of people can't afford joysticks, so they don't play with joysticks, and most people just use a mouse and keyboard. It is the same thing, but dialed up to 11.
Yeah, because you don't just have joysticks. Well, joystick will work with any computer. It'll work with a potato if you have a potato. But whereas a VR headset requires specific hardware in your computer in order to work in the first place.
Well, I think you had to have a 1080 Ti for the first one, like to get it to work properly. In some of the games because they were that demanding, and that's only going up now because you're getting it up to the 4K screens in the visors. And I remember one of them had 2K screens and stuff like that. So yeah, like I don't know, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, and I know there's going to be someone in the comments that goes, I love VR, it's amazing, and that's great, because I actually love it too, but I don't think it should be a priority purely based on the barrier to entry. I'm one of those people who, like, get Star Citizen out the door and then get it to work with VR, because let's be honest, I still think VR is in its infancy, and I think it's easily 10, 20 years away before we can even looking at that. And I know people are talking about the Neuralink stuff, and if that takes off and it all switches to that, then I'm sure Star Citizen can still switch to work as well.
Well, the thing is, with VR, you need the Henry Ford of VR for it to work. You need someone to come up with, cheap, easy to mass produce, then games will come, because it's not something that you build the technology around. You have to build the technology and then the games come around, not build the games and then technology comes around that.
You need the Nintendo Entertainment System for VR, the Nintendo and the NES, rather than the the Atari, something that is super easy that everyone can get on, that is not a burden for financial costs.
Can I put it to you gentlemen this way then? How much is an average monitor in the United States? If you guys could ballpark it, like just what, $200 to $400, $100 to $150,
between 200, I would say between 200 and 300.
Well,
your average.
And what would you say a really good one is?
If you're talking about a good one, sorry, I was just saying. I think what you were saying about you can get around 200-300 for some decent. I would actually say some decent ones, not like top end.
Now, a VR headset, is that 2 to 3 times the price of that monitor? Would you say roughly?
It would be about the same as a high end monitor, because I think the last time I looked at it, the VR headset was in the $500 ballpark range, $500 to $600.
So what I'm trying to get at is, on average, most people don't buy that stuff. Only the really high PC enthusiasts, probably like the people that play Star Citizen at the moment, buy. Like I've got a couple of monitors here that cost $1,000 each, and but I've got money to spend on stuff like that. But there are a lot of people that don't have that money, and they've only got like a $150 monitor, and I'm talking in Australian dollars, by the way, not American. But the headsets here, to put in perspective, the Vive, when it came out here, was $1,300 at retail. That's more than my really good top end 32-inch G-Sync monitor. So You know what I mean? Like when it costs more
Mhm.
than the best stuff that it's standard, it's just not going to work. They've got to come down
Yep.
to, I would say in Australia, half of what they are now. And I think you probably agree with me based on what you just said about the monitors there as well. They need to get down to, like, I think that's why the PlayStation VR headset was quite popular. Let's be honest.
I also don't think that the VR stuff, like when they talked about the VR stuff, I don't think CIG is really looking at VR in a serious way. I don't really think they're going to be looking at VR in a serious way until after Squadron 42 is released, or around Squadron 42 is released. And I don't think this current investment of 17 million is any kind of indication of VR preparedness or anything like that. So,
well, and just one last thing on VR before we change subjects. I just have to say the other issue with VR is not just the cost, but also the controls, because I just have to put it this way.
I was going to relate to that as well.
Hit R to reload, and you'll probably reload it faster than someone going...
Yeah.
I was going to talk about in Half-Life Alyx, there's like multiple different ways you can control the game. They've got this teleporting mode. They've got like you can actually walk like an FPS mode, and they've even got this constant walking mode where she just keeps moving, like she's going down a conveyor belt. And that alone, if you're not just making the one control scheme, so to speak, you're making multiple that act different. So let's be honest, in Star Citizen, you run, you walk. You might have a different button that you press, but that's all the same. You're fundamentally designing 3 different movement systems for the same game. That can take 3 times as long to work out, because you've got to play it and make it work and balance it for each system. It's not just a different key. It fundamentally plays differently.
It's the multiplayer issue, though, too. And that's the big issue I see. It's single-player Squadron 42. I don't see that being an issue as much as... You try going actual PvP with actual players, someone on a mouse and keyboard versus someone that's on VR. VR is having a way more immersive experience, but are you at a disadvantage because of that?
Both ways. Does it give you a disadvantage or an advantage? It's both. You can't balance that. I think you've kind of hit a nail on the head there. I think it pretty much restricts VR to the single player campaign, unfortunately. Do we have anything else to say on the investment stuff?
I don't panic.
We kind of went off on a tangent there, like super.
Yeah, we kind of went off on a tangent. I actually think that if anything, it spells good things for Star Citizen and for Squadron 42 specifically. I think if they're willing to do it, and because they have more access to it, this is crazy cuckoo gaga, I'm wearing my tinfoil hat kind of thing. So take this with an incredible grain of salt. It also may mean that CIG is confident, or they're confident that CIG's estimates of releasing the game sometime next year. Well, because
you don't invest if you're not confident, do you? And they obviously are liking what they're saying.
You don't doubly invest. You don't obviously doubly invest unless you are for sure that your money is worth the payout.
Or you're trying to get in and just move someone out of the way so you can just get a product out and salvage what you got.
And we're not talking about
but they wouldn't
of money either. It's 2 quite large chunks of change.
I don't think, and I also don't think that that's the case right now, because you're looking at people who invested because they wanted the return on investment. You're not looking at something that's like they wouldn't have bought into the game so that they could see it be released. They bought into the game because they want to see the game.
That's kind of how investors work. They like what they see. They think the game's going to be successful. Boom, they want a return on their investment. They're not in it because they want heaps of 62 million buys a lot of cool spaceships though. But anyway, look, I don't see anything wrong with it. I did initially go, that must be because of COVID. That was the first thing where I went, oh, that's bad. Oh, they need help. Sales will be down, so they're chucking more money in. And that, even if that is the case, right? So let's just say that is. I'm not saying it is, but let's say hypothetically, if that is the case, that means they are helping them because they want it to succeed. So
correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought CIG's actually had some decent sales recently.
They have.
Every month since November has been the best month ever of that month. So,
So I read it today,
November
wasn't it?
2019 was November 2019 was the best month for sales ever of any November. December, same, of 2019 was the best month of sales for any December ever. January, best month of sales for any January ever. February, the same, and even March was better than any other March that is in previous years.
But
So,
next month, I'll be really keen to see if that continues, and if it does continue,
That'd
I'm
be
really surprised.
yeah.
What would have been great is if they had a huge patch come out during all this while everyone's at home and like, oh, you'll have more people.
Oh, they will.
Let me check this out.
They will. I guarantee you 3.9 will come out while everyone's still at home, since we're all stuck in our homes for another 30 days. So at least.
All right, speaking of being at home, all stuck in and locked in, Australia, specifically my state, is going to really harsh lockdowns tomorrow. We're actually going as hard as Italy has gone. We had our first death here in my state yesterday. And so what I was saying to these two gents before the show is just for the foreseeable future, because everyone's stuck at home, I thought maybe we can share with others what we are doing, and hopefully not just each other, but also you guys in the comments, some ideas of things that you might be able to do while you're at home. And hopefully if you guys are doing anything cool that you think others might want to share, you could also share those in the comments, because I'll be bored and I'll definitely be reading the comments, and I will be looking for things to do. So I'll kick this off. Some of you that have watched the show for a while will know that I'm into 3D printing. Hang on, I'll grab this. So this is something I 3D printed recently, which is I got a new resin printer in February, and this is a model of, I think it was called a frost worm, really nicely detailed, and I've done that. And I've got a new printer coming. I brought another one, hopefully next week, and so I'm looking forward to that. I've been watching Ozarks on Netflix. I found a really cool little game that I've recommended to some of the guys on Discord called Deep Rock Galactic. If you are into exploring and mining and dwarves, highly recommend it. It's kind of like Left 4 Dead meets Minecraft. Highly recommend it.
The Warframe community likes to call it the dwarf frame, because it's like Warframe but with mining. It's very similar in that kind of like co-op experience. You can work with other people and you can do it solo, but so it's really fun. I know the developers. I've met them several times personally. They are fantastic.
Oh, that's right.
I cannot recommend it higher enough.
You were telling me that you played with them at PAX. That's right. I remember that now. Yeah.
I played them at it was a GDC. At GDC,
sorry,
when they did a broadcast of it, I was actually playing it live. You didn't see my face, but if you look up GDC Deep Rock Galactic and you see like a broadcast of them playing it, one of those characters is me. I'm playing it in the background. So because I was there, they're like, we need someone to play. Paul, you're in. I'm like, okay.
Excellent. So I think the last thing obviously people know I play Hunt Showdown. I kind of sleep with the enemy Crytek there a little bit, but I really, really, really like that game. If you like tactical, it's a little bit like a battle royale, but it's really different. It's got a much better, really, really high tension, and if you miss with bullets in that game, there are consequences. And it does appeal a lot more to older folks because it's not exactly a Twitch shooter. It's a lot more methodical, and it's got a Wild West theme to it. It's hard to explain, but yeah, check that one out. And the last one I've been playing is the new DLC for Ark Genesis, and I've said for quite a while, those that have probably watched a few of the shows, and I'm going back here, Ark is a really great game to see what people will be like working together on a spaceship, because you're working together in a tribe, and you very quickly see who's lazy and doesn't go get resources, who only wants to do all the cool stuff, and so you very quickly realize what they'll be like to play within Star Citizen. Dyson, what's some of the stuff you've been doing while you've been locked away, that you'd like to share with people, and what you would recommend they try something similar?
Well, honestly, number one, schoolwork. This is a great time to catch up on your study, but serious.
That's fine.
Outside of that, I'll just show you some of the stuff I've been working on that shows up. So
you that's Warhammer, yeah?
Yes, I do painting right now. Working on my Krieg army. So doing painting for that. Other big things, course, Tabletop Simulator has been amazing
I've been
because
looking at that too.
not only
Yep.
can you do Warhammer, but you can do board games with all of your other friends who are shut in. And it's also a great time to catch up on tabletop games with your groups, because we've been doing After the End, the GURPS RPG. We've been Torg. Highly recommend both of those. Great games. And of course, if you want a fun PC game and you are a nerd like I am, War of Rights, which is a Civil War game where you actually
another CryEngine game too.
Yeah.
yes, but it's a game if you want to work with a team, get in lines, do actually volley fire shooting type of stuff. It is definitely not a Twitch shooter in any sense of the word.
If you were a fan of those mods for Mountain Blade, the Napoleonic mods where they had you had to like that kind of stuff. And I will explain that Mountain Blade coming out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
The beta is so.
Bannerlords. Well, before we move on to you've just jogged my memory on two things. I printed this and brought it on to show Noobifier on your show, Paul, that Star Runner. But what I was thinking is I might actually send some of these off to you, Dasein, and get you to paint some of them, huh? So I might, and we might even see if we can give some away to a viewer or something like that, just while we're all locked in, something interesting to do. So we might pick out some cool ships and do that. And the second thing is I did, there's a free trial, and I think it ends later today, on a game that's by Inforunners. And that's what you reminded me of. Hunt, proving, what was it? Predator. Providing Grounds. Oh, I've forgotten the name of it. It's on Epic Games. Yeah. Just search Predator. And they got a free trial. I played it last night. It's got some issues, typical Inforunners issues. You can't change your controls. So you can't rebind crouch from C to control, for example. It's got some balance issues, so there are things that are fixable, but the graphics are pretty good. There are some optimization issues, but you can see the underlying game, and playing as the Predator is amazing. First game I go in, less than 2 minutes, I'd slaughtered them all. It was amazing, and the guys didn't know what hit them, so there's going to be a learning curve to it. But then on the other side, when I was playing as the soldiers, you've got this kind of mission you're trying to do, and you're being hunted. So you feel like you're a little bit with, as you mentioned, your schoolwork, Dasein, like you're under pressure, under the thumb to get it done before the teacher comes and yells at you. It's similar tension to that, but you're going to get killed for it. So yeah, I thought I'd better just slide that one in there that I forgot about. Sorry. But Paul, please, sorry to interrupt. Please tell us some stuff that you've been up to. Even your wife too. Give us a female perspective while we're there. You've taken up smoking, right? Okay.
I've taken up smoking. No, I pulled out the pipes because I was going to say, I've been working on this thing called Galactic Historian, which you should all watch because it's a fantastic, 40-hour content.
40 hours.
So
40 hours.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'll look it up, but it was over 24 hours last time I looked at it. It is binge watching like 4 seasons of television.
So you've made it that long. I saw something that went for one of your streams. You were streaming.
I'm talking about like all of my content for Galactic Historian is 24 hours.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, I'm thinking.
I might be completely wrong about that too. It might be only like 12 hours, and I'm completely blowing it out of proportion. But I don't care. Go watch it. It's a lot of hours.
I'm talking about the thing you've been working on.
Yes.
And you streamed that recently, and I was in it, but I don't think people knew it was me. But I still didn't like the one you picked. I recorded multiple lines. I think you picked one of the worst ones. But anyway, that's fine. You're the director. You get to cut your own movie. But so please tell us about a little bit about that, the preview that you did first, and then tell us when we should expect the full thing.
So Galactic Historian is something I do. If you've talked to me before, if you've been watching Inforunners, I've mentioned it before. I do lore for Star Citizen. Right now it's just Star Citizen, but I might go to a different franchises in the future as well. But right now Star Citizen is its home. And one of the things I've been doing, this is about a year project so far from concept to completion, is documenting the entirety of the Jumptown Wars, the player event that actually made it into lore, which happened between November 2018 and February 2019. So in game 2948 to 2949. kind of giving some context for how it started, then talking about the actual event, and then the repercussions from it, and taking player stories from the event, as well as using the actual lore to kind of fill in the gaps here and there. Episode 1, I've been working on it. It's going to be 40 minutes long, because episode 1 I've just finished, and it's put up on YouTube, and is premiering on April 1st at 5 p.m. CDT. So
is that 2 days from now? Because I've got to do Australian conversion.
2 days.
2 days. Yeah. Okay.
That's 2 days from now. So that's Wednesday here. So it'll be Thursday in Australia. And it is the same time as the Captain's Table normally is. So it's 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. GMT.
But it'll then be available on your YouTube channel to watch whenever.
Afterwards, yes. And episode 1 is 19 minutes long. That's including, and that's episode 1 is only not even half of the content that's in the full documentary. I'm really happy about it. I've been spending a lot of time during this time to working on it, so I actually get time to put it in there.
I got a couple of follow-up questions.
As well.
Can I get? Yeah, that was going to be one of my follow-up questions. How many people did you get to do voices for it and stuff?
This episode is only 3, but the when I start talking about the other episode, the events, I have, Captain Richard is in it, Detox is in it,
Great.
Diabolus, Jerry Diabolus is in it, Miss Hearts is in it, you're in it. I'll have Logan Plays, who's going to be in it.
You weren't invited.
I'm just not here.
Perfect. You need like a Professor Plump voice. Dyson's right here
for him to do it.
And the follow-up question is the gentleman with the southern accent. Who is he? He's got a really, really great voice. It feels like a whiskey commercial. The whole first episode that was previewed, I was like, "This is great." I really, really had this mum and pop southern feel. I really, really liked it. He's got a real captivating voice. Sorry.
He's an actual voice actor. He's from Knoxville, Tennessee. His name is Austin Crum. He's known in the community as Paranoid Penguin. He's done voice work for a lot of YouTube videos, and he actually approached me about a year ago and said, "I love the Galactic Historian. I like lore. Can I do voices in it before?" In fact, you've heard his voice before because he did the very stereotypical Aussie accent, the over-the-top Aussie accent for the last Galactic Historian video I did on the Explorers. He plays Nick Croshaw, who I had him do as kind of an Aussie, kind of like afflicted accent, that it figured it'd work. And so he's actually done it before, so you've heard him before, but this one he's doing more of his traditional, more of his actual voice, as far as I know. And a lot of it is based off of a documentary maker called Ken Burns in the United States.
Yeah.
A lot of his pacing is what I was kind of mimicking.
I couldn't quite picture where it was, but when I was listening to it, I was like, I kind of seen this before. It gave it a very authentic kind of official look. And I did comment, and I noticed you missed it when I posted on the live stream. You deliberately missed it. I said, it needs more banjo. Because it was really southern. It was really southern. And I was like, I just wanted to hear that. But it just didn't. I was joking.
It's in there. It's in there. It's in the last section of episode 1 is the banjo music. Yes.
Okay, I'll look out for it.
It's like Boomtown music, so you'll be able to hear it. So
okay, well, let's move on for that real quick. Personally, is there anything that you reckon people would want to possibly do with this lock-in situation? Just before we wrap up.
I would say I've been looking at I've been playing some other video games. BattleTech, if you like strategy games, is a fantastic game. If you haven't got a chance to, they have 3 different expansions, so you can get like all 3 for like $60.
That's pretty cheap.
And it's hundreds, if not of hours of gameplay there.
Yep.
If you like that kind of style. And I've been playing a lot of RimWorld. RimWorld came out with a new expansion as well, which has been pretty good. I'm trying to think of something else. I've also been watching a lot of the Star Trek series because a lot of it's on Netflix now, so you can kind of watch those.
Picard just wrapped up.
Wrapped up as well.
I got mixed feelings on that. I think it was kind of well written, but it just didn't feel Star Trek enough.
I think if you have a CBS if you haven't done a CBS All Access, you in the United States you have 1 month of free. So if you haven't done it yet, you can do it, and you have access to season 1 and season 2 of Discovery and Picard. those three alone is something like
Yeah.
50 episodes. So
The
it's
Expanse
like,
as well. Oh, sorry.
Ex-
I was about to
The
say,
Expanse?
in Australia, it's not on CBS, it's on Amazon. And
Yeah.
we
Oh,
get with a Prime, and
Yeah.
Prime is very cheap for what it is, and that's got things like The Expanse,
The Boys.
The Boys,
Man in the High Castle.
yeah, that.
Man in
And
the
the
High
other one I
Castle.
was going to say is they did a relatively new one called Treadstone, which is based along the Bourne Identity that I found kind of interesting. And
Yeah.
Jack Reacher with John, what's his name? The guy from The Office, and he married
Yeah.
Emily Bloom, or whatever her name is. But yeah, that's pretty good. But also Picard's on there. So yeah, if you're outside of the US, it's Amazon Prime, not CBS Full Access. But yeah,
There you
I
go.
think you
And
get your
that's-
money for that. And
They
I think,
definitely get your money if you want to do Amazon Prime.
yeah,
So
so sign up for 1 month or get 1 month free. Trial them out. It's definitely a time for trials. I know these people that are Chinese that live near me, and they don't speak very good English, and even they have signed up for them because they've just got nothing to do.
yeah.
So yeah, if you want something to do,
So, yeah.
highly recommend streaming.
The last thing I will say,
Yep.
for classic sci-fi, if you are a classic sci-fi, or if you're watching this, you obviously like sci-fi.
Mhm.
If you like sci-fi and you haven't watched something, or you haven't watched this yet, or if you've been putting it off, or if you haven't watched in a long time, Amazon also has every single season of Babylon 5 and all the movies.
It's definitely worth watching.
Yeah, and if you were looking for a time killer, even just putting it up in the background and kind of listening to it is definitely worth your time. And that's, again, you're talking like 6 seasons of television plus movies, which are about an hour and a half each, hour and a half, 2 hours each. So you're looking at a whole mess of time waster right there, and it's really good.
You can do the same thing with Star Trek too on Netflix as well. So yeah, there is quite a few. Maybe it might be a time for people to crack up some old series.
Deep Space Nine people.
Yeah. Now's the time. If you're new to science fiction, you're trying to get your friends into science fiction, just be like, hey, here's all these great shows which are really easy to find now.
I've been noticing a lot of watch parties going off too. So because people can't do things with friends, they'll crack open a show on Netflix and watch a movie or a show together, and they'll watch it together and talk about it. Oh, wasn't that a great scene and stuff? So I'm finding the internet is really alleviated, because imagine if this had happened all before social networks. Like, it would have been such a different. I think people would have gone full blown insane,
full blown crazy.
Yeah. So yeah,
Blockbuster is an essential service.
Yeah, Blockbuster would be loving it if it happened back then, wouldn't it? But yeah. So yeah, it's interesting.
They bought Netflix.
Yeah, that's true. All right, is there anything you guys want to add before we wrap up? Anything else, or we're all done?
One big thing: support your local streamers and YouTubers during this time. That is a big thing, because they're providing you content. You're giving them watch hours.
Yep.
Just not just our channel to remember to like, subscribe, and comment, but other channels too. Please like, subscribe, comment other channels. Help them out, because they're providing you entertainment during all this.
Yeah.
And some of them, I guarantee you, are starting to feel a little bit overworked, because they're trying to keep up with all the content demand. Especially
in the Star Citizen community, because we're about to go into a 1 month lull period. So I think we probably don't suffer that from so much, because we make a lot of our own content. But I think some of the people, I'll probably mention Board Gaming here, he'll probably struggle a little bit with just being a lack of content, and then also people being locked in. So he may get more and less videos at the same time. So maybe it just balances itself out. But yeah, I wish the whole community well. I think that's a given from everyone. So just be, there might be a little heightened tension during this time because people are locked in. But yeah, just be civil with each other, and I wish everyone well. And we'll get through this, I'm pretty sure.
And please smash that bell icon, because that is one of the things I keep hearing everywhere, that they're not, people don't get notifications sometimes that, hey, there's a new video. So that makes sure that happens.
Even subscribers, man. We get a lot of people watching our videos, but there's a lot of them that don't subscribe. But that's fine. Like, if they don't want to do it, they want to do it. But if you want to do it, it really does help us out. Gets the analytics out there, and more people can see it. Paul, do you want to give us a quick pitch for your own channel as well, man?
We do long form content all the time with Captain's Table. Execute was on the second to last Captain's Table. It was a fantastic episode. It's with Execute and Nubifier. If you want to see what their thoughts are on Star Citizen. It is a fantastic episode to go watch.
I still think you set that up for like a really big fight to happen, but never.
I did actually. When that happened, I was like, I want Execute and Noobify to be on the same, because I know that Execute and Execute has said that him and Noobify won't agree on things. And you ended up agreeing on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we did. He's actually a very polite gentleman, and I had a really good time. I have a new respect for him. Let's put it that way. There's a little few things, but like you can't agree on everything, and that's just fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was really good. I hold him in a different light to what I held him previously. Put it that way.
Yeah. And I was going to say that's the thing about the Captain's Table. It's really good if you want to see some of your favorite content creators, maybe some content creators you don't know about yet who make good content. They come on, they discuss Star Citizen. The latest one we had Rodwan, who's a very small content creator, and The Few, who's someone maybe people have seen before as well, both Twitch streamers. It was really, we had some really good discussions on there. And you can get your own questions in there. So that's available. And Galactic Historian, as I said before, I've been working on it for a long time. If you're interested in what is Star Citizen about, I have everything from the very intro level stuff to details on the Tavaran War, both of the Tavaran Wars, and every single Mezzer in the Mezzer dynasty and what they did. Like, I have some insane details. So,
and go see Paul if you like beer. That's another thing. He's really good at it.
Every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we do streams, live streams, and then on Saturdays we do a super long live stream. We do tabletop, just like the Dyson say. We do a sci-fi based tabletop.
Points if you can name where that sounds from. Man, I'm getting lots of text messages. Sorry.
Back to the Future.
Yes, it is. Oh, don't point.
Yeah. The Spice Must Roll. It's another one of these. I have a lot of stuff I do work on.
And you got that Star Trek thing you did as well. I caught that recently.
Yeah, that's Star Trek.
So you're doing a Star Trek D&D. What do you call that? A role-playing game, RPG. And I also saw a Dungeons and Dragons one you were doing. So is that all come about because of COVID, or were you doing some of those beforehand?
That was stuff I was doing beforehand, and then I started. Now that COVID's around, people are like, "I got more time. Let's do them longer." I
want to get in on one of those. We should do a Star Wars or
one shots.
Oh no, you were talking about doing Star Trek and a villain. Let me come in as a villain. I want to come in as a villain.
There we go.
That'll be great. I'll come in and stir things
I have
up.
to say on a side tangent, best campaigns ever are sometimes ones where you flip the tables and like, no, we're going to play the villain, stopping the heroes.
There we go.
All right. So He's Been Dyson was here, or your local dentist professor, Paul, your local bartender, and I don't know. I'm the guy that's just been fired, I think. But anyway.
No, you're the guy who's never had a job.
Oh, okay, I'll take that. No, it's probably because I've never worked with a suit. All the jobs I've had have not, like, this was the last kind of, this ties actually from one of the retail jobs I had, and it was years ago. And I just, it's first time I've worn that tie in about 15 years. Anyway.
You want fries with that?
Yes. No, that was a tech job. Anyway. I've been Execute, he's been Dyson, he's been Astro, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
See you around.
Bye.